Rigor and vigor will get you there. Welcome to another episode of Self-Employed Success Secrets Wednesday edition. Rigor and vigor. These are probably words that you don't hear often. However, they're really going to help you in being self-employed, being happy, getting results, and making others happy. Okay. So let's first start with the first word, rigor, or let's start with vigor. Vigor basically means energy, effort, enthusiasm. It means life. This is important because, as we talked about in previous videos, that energy, surprisingly, is the most important thing about being self-employed. Having high amounts of energy. Whether it's energy to get things done, energy to get along with people, good energy to deal with different problems that come up, energy to just, accomplish these goals you have. And energy comes from having a vision. Like the Bible says, where there's no vision, the people perish. But he who keeps the law happy is he. That's Proverbs 29:18. I heard a pastor say, well, there's no vision, the people perish, but where there is a vision, the people flourish. Okay, you want your business to flourish, and having a vision will give you energy. This video is not about how to get energy, but it's explaining how vigor, energy, effort, and enthusiasm can help you to be successfully self-employed so you don't have to go back to your job again. So the first thing, as I talked about before, energy is the most important part of being self-employed and keeping that good energy, just sustaining it. Okay, the next is rigor. And when we say rigor, we're talking about how rigor just means thoroughness, knowing a lot about something, whether you're a painter, you're a lawyer, you're a graphic designer, whatever. That rigor is what's going to allow you to get richer, okay? Because people pay for substance, people pay for expertise, people pay for heaviness. You want to be heavy in everything that you do, or especially in your vocation, you want to be heavy. You know so much, you're so efficacious, you're so helpful and useful. Because remember, if you're useful, the world will give you bread. So vigor and rigor will help you there. And this is where a lot of people fall off, is because of a lack of vigor, there's a lack of rigor. This is what I'm saying, how energy is the most important part of being successfully self-employed. Because when you have the energy, you can turn that into expertise. You can turn the expertise into earnings. And you can turn the expertise into economic security. We made a whole video about this. Okay. But it starts with having high energy, enjoying what you do, having a vision. Both of these things give energy. Not being around people that drain you, but people that, sustain you, that keep you happy and give you joy. These things give you energy, and this is why it's so important to have that. Not complaining, not being afraid. These things are all energy sappers, so you got to have vigor. And then you turn that into rigor, and then vigor plus rigor equals successful business. Okay? You want to be rigorous in what you do primarily. And then go from there, and then have good energy when you're selling to people. Empathy gets you in the door, expertise closes it. You've got to go in there with good energy. Empathy. Oh yeah, I feel for you, I care about you. And I mean it. People can feel real. And then you turn that, you go from empathy to the next step, which is expertise. Empathy gets you in the door. Expertise closes it. So just keep this in mind as you're self-employed. Rigor, or vigor plus rigor. In that order, vigor plus rigor. I've got to have the energy to be rigorous at what I do. So you need to guard your energy, vigorously, valiantly, because it matters a lot. And then you use that energy instead of wasting it on dumb things, use that energy to help other people. And become rigorous at what you do. Study what you do. Half your day should be studying. And half your day should be planting seeds. You should be meeting needs. Half your day should be planting seeds, and half your day should be meeting needs. So Keep this in mind. Vigor plus rigor equals successful business. Okay? You got to have a lot of energy for this to work. And this is where a lot of people fail. Like Dan Pena is a really rich guy. You can look him up. Dan Pena, the $50 billion man, that's what he calls himself. He said that the emotional part of having a business is where most people fail. The emotional bank account is where most people fail. They don't have the energy to do a lot of work. And that lack of work hurts them in the long run. I was trying to tell you things that are going to help you to be self-employed and be able to do it well. Is that you got to have a lot of energy and you got to know a lot about what you're. Basically, you have to have a lot inside of you if you want a lot around you. You got to have a lot inside of you to have a lot around you. Okay? So these are just things to think about. Okay.